In the last video, I mentioned how we protect the site. I walked you through how we take care of the site to make sure only logged in users have the right to get into the site. Now, the reason that's so important is because what we have is the ability to allow people to create suggestions and or to participate in a forum. And we'll be looking at that over time. I've also created a page that allows us to see all the people who are, and I'm calling these advisors, you might call them anything you like, and we can obviously change the name of this quite easily, but you have here a roster of all the different people who are involved in the site with their, you notice we talked about having avatars, so here's their image, and you can have their email, and we can even ask for, you'll notice here, this is a custom piece of data that we're asking people for when they go to fill out their profile, and you can ask them multiple questions. What kind of ministry are you involved in, or what church are you from, or what part of the country. Lots of different metadata that you can collect and display on this page. So obviously, we want to make sure that once you're in, you're able to access everything, but when you're not invited in, you don't have access to anything. Now, I mentioned at the same time in the last video that I didn't spend a lot of time on the GUI, but that doesn't mean that the GUI can't be manipulated. What I want to do is introduce you to Canvas, which is the theme in WordPress. So in terms of nomenclature, WordPress is the underlying infrastructure for the overall site. You use it for many of your other sites, so it should be comfortable. But in this particular case, we've used a premium theme, and the theme gives us a whole bunch of additional options. Now you notice one of the little options is the ability to come here and change the actual icon there from Woo Themes, which is the creators of this, to your own orange. So if someone were to come back here and see it, they'd be branded to see that it's yours. Now, with that said, you have the ability to control a lot of different things about your site. For example, when we talk about a layout, do you want the sidebar, which we were seeing over here on the right, do you want to see it on the right or do you want to see it on the left? Do you want to have multiple sidebars? And if so, both of them on the right or left, or split across the bottom, across two sides? How many widget areas on the bottom of the screen do you want? Now again, if this is completely foreign to you, that's totally fine. But to someone else who comes in and says, I want to be able to change the background color, I want to be able to change the image that's placed over the background color, and I want to be able to repeat it, or I want to determine what link color and what hover color and button color, and you can see I can keep going, what kind of font we're using here on the site, whether or not we have that box layout, which creates a white box around it, whether we want a specific background image in the header, how we want to process posts and their content, the color of the widget title, which you'll see over here, is this orange over there. All of these are options, and options that you don't have to code for. So what I've done is tried to set up some basics here. The same thing with the navigation. You can control how you want, to be on a gray background, etc. But the whole benefit of this is that you have control over all of the different parts of your site, including whether you want that feedback, which is the rotation of your testimonials, whether you want a subscribe and connect, so if you wanted people to interact with you on different social media angles, you could enable this. I have not enabled every possible feature here, but suffice to say that in terms of how we manipulate the look and feel, beyond someone going and writing code, which of course you can always do, and you can get a designer to come in and add even more to it, the baseline of all this is completely customizable with relatively simple ease, simply because you're using a premium theme that gives you access to all of that. So if, for example, you said, hey, really don't want this gray in the background, I want this to be blue text instead of black, it's really easy to do because we're using Canvas as our premium theme. And that's a little about the look and feel and how it's configured. In the next video, we'll actually get into our suggestion box and how that works.